welcome to the Arena Craft podcast. My name is Arjuna. I am your host, and this is a podcast dedicated to Magic the Gathering, and in particular, Magic Arena and Pioneer and newer formats. This is the first episode. Hello. Pleased to meet you. Let's talk a little bit about what this podcast is and who it's here for. I've been playing Magic for a while now and been listening to a lot of podcasts and taking in a lot of content. And I've noticed that since the birth of Arena, people haven't really been focusing on it. I feel like I've been looking for like the Magic Arena podcast and it doesn't exist. And so I got this idea, like, I need to start it. You know, be the change you wish to see in the world. And so I kind of had the impetus to do it. I sat on it for a little while. I've had some other projects going on. And I finally decided it was time to pull the trigger. And just as I was doing that, we had this big announcement of Historic. You know, Historic is becoming a thing, and Pioneer as well. And I thought, boy, this is too good to not jump in on. So I've decided that this podcast, in addition to covering Arena, is also we're going to talk about Pioneer and any newer formats. But it's basically going to be Pioneer and Forward. So that's going to be Pioneer, Historic, Standard, any current limited format. I'm probably going to cover Brawl as well. So Pioneer, Forward. So yeah, let's just talk a little bit more about what this podcast is going to cover week to week. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of talk about Arena. I'm going to be covering play modes. I'm going to be checking in regularly about the state of the meta in Standard. We're going to be talking about tips and tricks and tweaks to help you get the most out of the client, help you maximize your gold if that's what you want to do, and your gems, get the most value out of it. How to work with the existing bots, for example. There's just a lot of material that specifically happens on Arena, and I think it's been a heretofore underserved community. So that's going to be a major focus of the show. And in addition, I will be talking about some aspects of paper magic as well, because, that's relevant in Standard and Pioneer as well. And I'm going to try to avoid going deep on Magic Online, because I view that as kind of outside of the purview of this show. Going to really be focused mostly on Arena when it comes to the game clients, but I will be talking about paper magic as it concerns Pioneer and newer formats. So yeah, that's a brief overview of the goal of this show. My intention is going to be to get guests on as regularly as I can every week. And who knows, maybe we'll add a regular co-host here at some point. But you've got to start somewhere, and so here we are. So let's talk a little bit about me and my history. Here's my history with Magic. So I am an old school Magic player. I started playing back in probably 1994. So the game was really young then. The set which had just been released was Fallen Empires. And I remember buying those Fallen Empires boosters and opening my Order of the Ebon hand and my Hymn to Torak. Man, that was the time when Hymn to Torak was just flying around. People didn't really know the power level of these cards yet, or maybe it was just that they hadn't built the shells yet. The cards hadn't been printed yet to abuse them. But anyway, it was an interesting time in Magic because, you had these cards like Hymn to Torak printed next to just garbage cards that, no one should ever in their right mind have played. So anyway, both the player base and the wizards were figuring out the power level of the cards. And yeah, anyway, it was cool. So I played up until around the release of Visions, which was, I believe that was 98. And I was young, I was in grade school at the time. And then I quit. I moved back to England and various things happened in my personal life, and I just kind of fell out of the practice of playing Magic. And I didn't really pick it up until, much later in my life and well into my adulthood. And it just kind of occurred to me, it dawned on me, like, this Magic, there's this great game, and I used to love it, and maybe I would love it again. And I reached out to a few friends I had, and none of whom, I had no idea that anyone in my close circle played Magic, but all these people came out of the woodwork, and suddenly I had a play group. And this was a handful of years ago. This was when Shadows over Innistrad had just been released. So I remember my friends and I, we got some pre-release packs, and we did a little private pre-release at my house. And I remember the first pack that I opened had Archangel Avacyn in it. And I was just like, oh baby, here we go, starting at the top. And haven't looked back from there. I've been a pretty avid Magic player ever since. And I play a lot of Limited as well with my friend group. I'm not really a tournament grinder. I haven't made any serious attempts to progress further in the game in terms of being very, very competitive. But I do play a lot. I take in a lot of content. And, I love interviewing people. I love discussing the game. So a lot of what I'm going to be trying to do is connect with players who are really dedicated to the game, and just kind of picking their brains about what's working and what's not working, and just really trying to feature people who are at a high level in the game, either grinding or creating content. I'm going to be reaching out to a lot of Twitch streamers, especially people who are focusing on Magic Arena. So that's going to be a big focus of the show. So yeah, I love Magic. It's my deepest gaming love, and it's really something that I've just been laser focused on for the last couple of years. Now, my history with podcasting, this actually isn't my first podcast I've created. I actually founded what ended up being the most successful PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds podcast back when that game was really coming up in 2018. A friend of mine who I was living with at the time and we decided to start making a show about the game because we were having so many interesting conversations around it. And next thing you know, we had 2,500 listeners. We were top of Google. And I thought, wow, this podcasting thing this is awesome. And I got really into it. So I've made another podcast since then, and a couple actually. And this is it's not a new thing for me, but I'm really, really excited to start focusing on Magic, because I would say it's probably about 80 to 90% of all podcasts I listen to these days are Magic podcasts. I just love the content. I love the community. I love the game. And so for me, making a show focused on Magic is really a dream. So I'm really excited to be pursuing this. It's a passion for me, and I'm excited to be putting out content every week. So yeah, that's going to be it for this little intro segment, just catching you up on me and my inspiration and what this show is going to be about. So looking forward to getting some guests on here and sharing more with you soon. Take care.